All right, guys. So, welcome back to Crown and Shield training. Also, Bring a Brother Day was usually today for my Warriors. So, it's good to see a lot of my Spartans, a lot of my Warriors in here. Today, I'm going to be going into a deep dive on the hero's journey. So, change speaker type here. All right, for those of you who do not know what the hero's journey is, the hero's journey comes from a book from Joseph Campbell, A Hero with a Thousand Faces. What Joseph Campbell figured out is that all of these stories through mythology, through Norse lore, through all of these different cultures, the stories seem to follow a path, whether it's Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, it doesn't matter. The story seems to follow certain steps. What I'm going to do today is go through some of these steps in detail so that way you can go, okay, why are we doing this? What is this storytelling? What does literary adventure have to do with me? The reason why this is important is you are the hero in your story. And a lot of you guys are jammed up in one of your chapters and you don't know what the next chapter is. It's good to know there's a next chapter, fellas. So that way you can go, now it's time for me to go to my next chapter. I know which direction to go. And some of these chapters are designed to jam you up. Some of these chapters are designed to make it so you feel like you're good. I can be complacent or I can get comfortable or I don't have to go and fight Darth Vader. I'm good. I feel good right now. I don't have to go to the next chapter. So I'm going to go through these with you guys and we're going to start doing some pretty cool awareness to go like, all right, I see where I'm jammed up. So I'm going to share this with you guys. This is my screen so I can say, here's what we're doing. There's a video in my training. So if you guys do want to buy the full training, I'll make that available to you guys. Let's talk about the 17 steps of the hero's journey. A lot of you guys are still in these beginning chapters. Okay. Now, you guys have all probably gone past this first one, the call to adventure. What that means is something or someone interrupts the hero's familiar life to present a problem, a threat, or an opportunity. This is the beginning of change as the new chapter awaits. This means some of you watched a video. Some of you caught JR stuff. Some of you caught my stuff. There's some new information that would be applicable to something going on in your life. There's something in your life that was like, this isn't going well. Maybe my money is bad, or my health is bad, or my relationship is falling apart, or all of it. Something's going wrong. And because of that, I'm aware now of different opportunities, different avenues now that I can do something different. But a lot of you guys were stubborn. And this goes into section 2, the refusal of the call. Unwilling to step out of their comfort zone to face their fear, the hero initially hesitates to embark on his journey. Fear, doubt, and comfort hold the hero back. This is I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a wizard. I don't want to be the hero. I don't want to do that. Why should I have to do all of these things? We'll hold ourselves back and we're going to make it so I didn't want this ability. I don't want to be the king. I don't want to be a warrior. I don't want to save the world. Why is that my responsibility? I don't want that. And then you'll come into section 3. And the reason I'm speaking to you now is you'll have a supernatural aid, a mentor figure who gives the hero the tools, the wisdom, the inspiration that they need to accept the call to adventure. This person can be a book or an inner revelation. It can be a person, a book, or an revelation. There's some new thing that says, here's the path you take, whether it's Gandalf saying, get out of your house, Bilbo, or Frodo, whether it be Obi-Wan Kenobi, or it be, we need your help from Princess Leia. It's going to be something that happened that says, hey, we're going to give you something that you need for your journey. And somebody's going to say, you have to go take care of this. You're the one. This gets into where probably a lot of you guys are at right now. Crossing the threshold. This is a very common one for guys at the beginning of their journey to be stuck in. The hero embarks on their quest, stepping into the unknown, leaving the familiar behind. This means I'm just getting started. I'm just all right. There's something I'm supposed to train here. There's something I'm supposed to learn. There's something I'm supposed to be practicing. There's something I'm supposed to do. There's something I'm called to. I don't know what it is yet. I have no idea where it's going to go. No clue where this path leads. But I know it's not stay in my bed under the covers and don't do anything. I know that's not my path. And this gets us to where you're going to start training and start going through some things, and you're going to start realizing that I'm going into information. I'm going into stuff that I know too much. And this gets into the belly of the whale. This is when the hero crosses the point of no return. This is when encountering their first major obstacle, the challenge tests their resolves, marking their first true initiation. This means there's going to be some conflict, maybe an argument with your girl that you handle differently, maybe something where the job fired you and you have to get a new job, or maybe it's going to be something where now I have to really learn myself and start figuring out the default program, or how do I react in triggers on things, or what am I doing to make it so I'm creating whatever outcome I'm creating. You start figuring out things a little more, and now you know too much. You can't go back. This is like Neo now knows there's a matrix. And you're like, you can't not know there's a matrix now that you know you've gone too far. You can't go back. You know too much. This means now we end up in the initiation phase of the story. This is the road of trials. Some of you are in the road of trials right now. Some of you have been with me for a while. Like Chris, you said, some of you are in the road of trials at the moment. And what that means is the hero must go through a series of tests or ordeals to begin their transformation. Failure is common and the road is difficult, but these trials refine the hero's spirit. What that means is this is the montage, the training phase. I'm figuring out something. I'm learning a new skill. I learned a new ability. You may not be a master yet, but at least you know, like, oh, this is how you do that skill. Oh, you can use a lightsaber. Okay, I see what to do now. There's a thing here. I'm going to practice this. This may be a long ordeal. Those montages last 30 seconds to some 80s music, but in real life, this could be months or years. There's a lot of practice, 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 practice here. And there's a lot of missed shots. There's a lot of goof ups. There's a lot of mistakes. This is okay. Each one of these difficult things that you practice or fail forward on will refine you and make you stronger. Next comes the meeting with the goddess. This is where the hero will meet one or more allies who pick him up and continue his journey. These relationships provide strength and encouragement. This is going to be through community. You're going to be doing your practice with other guys who are doing their practice, guys who are getting stronger and better. You'll find relatability with one or two guys who are just, that's my dude, man. That's my guy. I love talking with this guy, or he gets me, or we're parallel with each other. And we both push and challenge each other to get better. We're accountability partners, whatever it is. These are my allies that I start picking up on the journey. I start meeting new people and connecting in new ways. It's pretty good stuff. Then comes into the woman as temptress. This is where the hero gets good enough, and some of you are going to be in this. Some of you will be faced with this. This is where you feel like you're good enough that you don't have to train anymore. Yep. This is where you feel like I made it far enough. Maybe I got a status. Maybe I got promoted. Maybe I, something went well. And the temptation may be something in love interest. It could be fame. It could be wealth, any type of comfort to make it so like I'm good enough now. I don't need to do any more work. I maybe hit a goal or I did something and now I'm a coach or I'm certified or I'm the leader of, I'm promoted to, and then you don't have to get any better. This is very tempting phase, Chris. I see you. This is a very tempting phase where you'll get to a point where it's like, I feel like I got it. And then you stop doing all the things that made you good enough to feel that way. And you go right back to your default program. And this is why we had to do that, because you can see if you're sliding backwards or if you're still going forward on your journey. This is a very, 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 very difficult phase to crack because usually things have to go very wrong for you to go, oh shit, I have to get back on my journey. And you'll have usually a pretty big loss in this phase. So you were winning until, and then it went all wrong. So then we'll get to the atonement with the father. This is when the hero confronts the reason for his journey. The relationship was failing. I lost my job. Wasn't in control of myself. I have to go and face my fears, doubts, or powerful figures that control your life. I have to go into a pivotal moment that leads to confrontation. I have to fight. I have to have this battle. This would be like the part where, you had to fight Luke Skywalker had to fight Darth Vader the first time. Like what's going on here? And this is when he got his hand cut off, and he was like, "I am your father." And he's like, "What the fuck? No!" And like everything falls apart. This is usually when you go in and probably get your ass kicked real good. But this is like, dang, maybe I wasn't ready yet. This goes into the apotheosis. This is after facing the father. The hero gains a profound understanding of their purpose or skill. And they have to usually at this point get newfound wisdom, newfound skill, new information. So that way they are ready for the next final test, the big battle. They're like, you lost that one, but it's because you didn't have this thing yet, and your knowledge of the force wasn't ready. And you're like, what do I need to do? You need to do this thing. And you're like, oh, now I get it. And like, now that you understand, it's time to go and do the battle. This goes into the ultimate boon. The hero achieves the goal that they set out to accomplish, fulfilling the call that inspired the journey in the first place. The hero is now transformed and victorious. You are now a Jedi. You are now the master. You are now ready to take it on. This is when Aragon in the Lord of the Rings is like, okay, give me the damn sword. Let's go. I'll be the king. Fine. And he has to go and do the big battle. After the big fights and the acceptance of your heroism and you're going through these things, that's when it gets into the return. Time to go back. And sometimes we don't want to go back. The hero has been victorious, and he may be reluctant to return to the ordinary world of his previous life. The comfort of success tempts the hero to remain in hero mode and not go into the being mode and want to be just in action mode. This works in business. This works in success for fitness. This works in wealth. This works in a lot of different areas where you may be very tempted to be the badass who like check out how badass I am, check out how badass I am, and maybe overwork or overcommit time away from the family, overcommit time away from friends, overcommit time away from purpose. This is one of the options that ends up becoming very tempting for me to just be in hero mode or the dragon warrior and never transferring over into elder or wise one. Next goes into the magic flight. The hero must escape with the object of his quest, evading those who would take it from him. It often involves a return journey that is very dangerous. This means we got to get back home with all the stuff that you've gathered. This is one of those ones where the transition to this can be pretty tough to do. It can be tough in your life to do this, to go like, I have to switch back into a home mode, but it's hard to get there. It's hard after I've gone through all this stuff to be a regular Joe again. It's not actually regular Joe, but that's the misconception that a lot of us will think it is. Rescue from without. Similar to the meeting of the goddess, a hero receives help or guide from a rescuer to help him get home safely. This is the brotherhood. This is the king's communities. This is the warrior's way mindset where, hey, you're still on that battle back. Let's lock shields and get you home, bud. I got you. The crossing of the return threshold. The hero makes it home successfully to the ordinary world, bringing with him the boon or wisdom of the journey. You are now higher level. You have your shit more together. You've survived and done amazing things. And now you have come home, and they're like, who is the new you? Which is very important for some of you who are in relationships. It's very important for some of you who have big dreams or goals because now you are not the person that you used to be. And so being able to say, now I'm ready to go and build a dream or start a family or be the man that I'm meant to be. Now you have to become the master of two worlds. And the hero achieves balance between who they were before in their journey and who they are now. And the balance is often between the material world and the newfound spiritual enlightenment. You'll see me talk about being the balance between doing and being, mind and body, heart and spirit. You're going to see the balance talked about quite often through this training because I have found that's where true peace has lied in every element. And so we train on all. And then the freedom to live. The hero, now transformed, is at peace with life. With their challenges behind them, they live freely and purposefully and no longer bound by doubt and fear. And how many of you would love to not have doubt and fear anymore? This is pretty awesome. The reason I bring this up, and I bring this up to you guys often, because there's something important that you need to know about who I am on your journey. I am a hero in your story. I'm one of the adventurers in your story. I'm the supernatural aid. My job is to push your ass out the door so you can go on your adventure. And I give you, hey, this is how you beat that, or watch out for these giant monsters, or this thing here, you need to do this, or else you'll never get past it. And it's your journey, so you have to do your thing. And I'm going to kick your ass out the fucking door because you guys are going to be stuck in this refusal of the call. Or some of you are going to be in some damsel mode of, well, won't you just save me? I'm like, I'm the mentor, not the hero. You're the hero. You have to get out of refusal of the call to go into your threshold. And then you got to go far enough that you know too much that you can't be the stay in fucking bed guy. You got to be the guy who's like, I have an adventure to do. There's something that I'm meant to do. And this is good for you guys to understand because some of you guys have been taught, maybe because of bad dads or no dads or bad mom training, that somebody's supposed to rescue you, like you're fucking Rapunzel or some shit. I'm like, I don't need you to let down your golden hair. I need you to get the fuck out of there so we can go kick some ass. What are you doing? And some of you need that. Some of you need that. Because some of you think you're the NPCs in the story. You're the hero. Understand that there's another chapter. It's time to go into the belly of the whale. It's time to go into the road of trials. It's time to go and get good at getting good. And that's the story we're in right now. This is where you're at right now. And you're going to be in a choice in every single chapter. You're going to be in a choice. Do I stay here or do I go forward? Some of you are on your road of trials. Some of you are on the woman as temptress. You guys have done enough that it seems like I can get comfortable. You guys, some of you guys are in some of these stages where you think you got it, but you're just not going to go anymore. Some of you know what to do and you're refusing to do it. You are the hero in the story, but what chapter are you on? This is where we are. And so, what we're going to do is teach you more and more about this and then how to apply it. The more you know what your purpose is, your direction is, and you start doing action side, you start doing body side and start moving into your adventure. You're going to learn that all of the tips and the tricks that we teach you are for a purpose to make it so you can defeat your final battle, come home as the hero, and be able to find balance between both the doing and the being. There is a purpose for all of it. This is the way. So, looking into this, which part are you jammed up on? And then let's get ready for the next chapter. All right, guys. I want to hear from you guys. I want to hear from you guys now that you're listening to this going, oh, man, I can see where I'm at in my story. I can see I'm at the refusal of the call. I've got fears, doubts, and my comfort holds me back. I make excuses to make it so I don't walk out the door. I don't go for it. Or I'm in this crossing of the threshold where I'm like, I'm going, but I don't know what the hell I'm doing here. So I need a little bit of direction so I make sure I don't fall into the canyon or the pit. Some of you guys are on the road of trials and you're like, how long is this supposed to last? I'm like, it takes as long as it takes, man. You get good and then you can get going. Like, you got to practice over and over again. How many times do you have to hit the punching bag until you're proficient at punching without popping your wrist? Like, takes practice, man. You're going to have to keep doing it until you get good. All right. Dr. Phil, do you have a thing or no?
You just went over the one I was going to do. The Road of Trials. So good job.
Thank you, Phil.
Thanks.
All right, guys. Any questions on this right now? This is a really cool concept to understand. The Hero of a Thousand Faces from Joseph Campbell covers almost all stories. Follow this. And you start watching all your movies and reading your books. This is the steps that they take when they're writing stories to go, how does the story progress? It doesn't matter what it is. I brought up some of the most common ones like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars, but it doesn't matter if it's Dune or whatever. You can watch any show that you're talking about and go like, dang, it's following this order. Well, your life is doing that too. And some of you are like, well, I've already done some of these before. I'm like, do you know how many motherfucking sequels you get to have in your life, guys? There's sequels. Yeah, that was your high school story, but now you're in college. That was your college story. Now you're after college. All right, now you're in marriage. What a fucking journey this one's going to be. There's multiple sequels. So in this sequel right now, the rebirth, the phoenix element of your existence, where the guy I used to be is no longer. I've have to have a funeral for that, and I got to cross the threshold to become the man I'm meant to be. Where are you at now in your journey? Brian Fernandez, what do you got? I don't think your microphone is on.
I I forgot that I always have a mute button on my headset,
You're good.
which always happens to me.
Well, except
Um,
for except for that one time, it worked perfectly. So can't say always anymore.
yeah, that is true.
Okay,
Um,
go ahead.
for me, it's between crossing the threshold and the meeting with the goddess, which,
I think you're in the
um,
belly of the wheel too. I think you are. We're at the beginning
yeah,
of the road of trials for you, but you're at the
mm,
point where you can't go back to how you used to be.
yeah, that is true.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
you've come too far that all your old behaviors, the addictive behaviors, the depression behaviors, the codependency behaviors, now you're like, wait, I can see those way too clearly. Like
mm,
I can't go back to what I was. I know too much.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you're definitely in the belly of the whale where you've already crossed in and you're about to go into your road of trials. And that's why we're at the very beginning of like practice this, practice this, practice this. We're in the beginning of your road of trials. And just so you guys know, road of trials is riddled with failure. You're gonna get your ass kicked. You're gonna get good at like how to handle defeat. Cause like it's the part in the story where you're fighting the mentor and he just keeps kicking your ass and you can't hit him.
mm,
You know, until finally it gets to the part where you've been training for years, and then you're like, huh, and you finally get the mentor, and he's like, "You're ready now." You know, but you're gonna get your ass kicked 100 times before you finally can get it. You're like, "Oh, I get it," and he's like, "Now you're ready for the next chapter." You know, so you're
yeah,
in that phase, Brian, where you're gonna do some things, and then you'll test some stuff, and then you're like, "I think I'm ready, Rick," and I'm like, "Let's see what you got." And then I'm like,
mm,
"Cha cha cha," you're like, "Oh fuck," and I'll be like, "You're not ready yet. Let's do it again."
yeah,
Again, you know, you guys know what I'm talking about, that part of the movie. Again,
hmm
again, you know, where the mentor is just kicking the shit out of him. I think
Uh,
you're in that phase right now where you're like, again, Brian.
yeah. Um, just really quick, can you explain again like the hypothesis kind of portion there within like initiation? Cause
This is going to be, you're going to do some really good battles. And just so you guys
mm,
know, this could go for a while. Like this isn't like a 3 week story. Some of these stories, if you're watching some of those stories, it goes over like a span of a year to a couple years. Like this may be longer than like, you know, a 2 week story. And so this could be like a 5 year adventure you're on. And so the hypothesis is after you've gone through some very powerful battles. Maybe it's completing Spartan training. Maybe it's going into advanced training. Maybe it's you jumping into like, now I'm made to go into my next final test to really see what I'm made of. This is usually in final battle where I push my guys into being able to have to fight something that's been really destroying you. You know, it could be addiction, it could be breaking a curse, it could be a limiting belief, it could be somebody in your life you need to remove out of it. I don't know what the battle will be, but it's going to be something hard. It's going to be something that's like, man, that was there for a long time, and you're going to be ready by the time you get in that ring. And so, Brian, the hypothesis is going to be when like you're ready for the final battle, you're ready to go in the ring. It's time for you to go do the fight. And that's you'll know when that is because we'll be like, it's time, Brian. Get in the ring.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah, that was something that I needed like a little bit of like clarification on because like the return part of it was like I understood it, and then it was like the hypothesis part of it. I was like, is that mainly during like that final battle, like at the end, or is that more towards like the after part of everything?
It's
That's
the
where I was like a little bit confused on
it's
about
the
that one.
part where Frodo knows he's got to go into Mordor to throw the ring in the mountain. You know, it's the part where Luke has to end up on the Death Star to fight the Emperor and Darth Vader. You know, it's the part where it's like time to go into the big fights. That's the hypothesis. Is like, let's go get it.
Yep.
We have to go beat the big boss. Let's go do it.
Yep. And like with Frodo and all stuff, like he still has Smeagol there who's like still obsessed with the ring and just
Yep.
like my precious. He wants the preciouses.
It's pretty good. Yeah, and so you got your Smeagol in there too. And remember, like it's an anti-hero version of something. It's a part of you that's been corrupted, but isn't necessarily evil itself. You know, and so it's an interesting fight you're gonna have in some of these battles that come up. Things that intend to be good, but still do it in the wrong way. So there's some cool stuff you got coming up, man. Good Smeagol impression. That was good Gollum. Gollum. All right, Will Smith, what do you got?
Um, I always love this part because, like, as a nerd, I'm all about the hero's journey. I think it's interesting how we can relate it. Um, I know one thing I've learned going through this is I feel like some stories are kind of like the Odyssey, where like it's one bigger story, but there's also a lot of smaller stories in it, and you kind of have to go through the cycles depending on what you're tackling, right? And I find it funny to talk about like how much time it's taking. I mean, I started with y'all in January, and I think I'm just not hitting the apotheosis where I thought I was there before, and it was like, nope, you just thought you were. Um, Question I have is, are there parts of this journey that maybe can be confused for other parts, just with a lack of understanding or whatnot? And if there are parts that maybe can be confused for others, how can we differentiate them? How can we tell them apart to get a higher awareness of where we're at?
You're gonna find out when shit starts to fall apart that you didn't have it. So I'll give you an example. You completed Spartan training and you're like, cool, I did it. I fucking rocked that shit. And then you went into what I saw you go into the woman as temptress. We're like, all right, I think I got it. I'm gonna go ahead and hang out with my girl and we're gonna do some cool conversations. I'm fucking Spartan now. I got this shit. And then you got fucking mollywopped. You got fucking sideswiped. And you're like, oh, fuck, what?
Yep.
Wait, what? And you're like, that wasn't the final battle, bro. No, that was
Mm,
boot camp. That was boot camp. Time to go to war. Like, no, you thought because you graduated boot camp that you won the war? No. And now you went in, I saw you go in with your wife, and you're like, I didn't just win. I didn't just win it all. I got fucked up. I'm like, yeah, that's because you're in the atonement phase. You're not in the final battle. Like, and you're like, fuck
yeah,
me. Okay. So life will reveal it to you guys. Life will reveal itself to you. It's funny, Brian. Life will show you what phase you're in. And so, Will, you're like, I'm pretty sure I just won the game. And I'm like, no, that's just a
but
mini
yeah,
boss, bro. That's now you're ready to go on the adventure. And
that's
so
just finished the tutorial.
yeah, you finish the tutorial. Time to get in the game, man. And so
Yeah,
life will show you. Life will reveal it to you. And a lot of you guys will think that you just won. And that's a very tempting phase where you beat one boss and now you feel like you just won the game. And I'm like, that's just a mini boss, man. That's just training. You know, and I think Chris coming up here, you can really attest to that, where you've gotten to a very proficient level, and then you're like, I already got it, and then like life just goes, time time to show you your level. You went, whoosh, you get tidal waved. So that's a good question, Will. Christopher, explain where you were at on that one.
Yeah, it's funny doing this work previously without a deeper understanding. Sometimes you fully believe that you're at this one place, like the temptress, and then everything that came after that was the atonement with the father. Why am I behaving this way? why did I, act that way with the temptress, only to find out that I was really still in the road of trials, that it knocked me back. And I forget, somebody made a diagram once of the hero's journey, not only as a cyclical nature, but there's also this pendulum that can swing back and forth, where if you don't what you called learn your lessons from that phase, it'll knock you back. And then you come forward again and get knocked back a little bit and come forward again. And one thing that I've realized, and you touched on this, is even when you get to 17, the freedom to live, the next thing is right around the corner. And even if you've gotten this quote unquote mastery of the freedom to live, something's going to come along that feels like you just undid all of it. And it's just your next level up. And the way I've also seen it, the circle gets smaller, the cycle gets smaller as you get bigger. So the speed in which you can move through these things becomes more proficient, more clear, and the cycle just gets smaller and smaller and smaller, but the cycle always exists, no matter what.
And there'll
So
always be another
if you could
thing.
talk on that. that'd be great.
Well, there'll be another thing too, because like it may be one of those things where I have to learn how to overcome this massive trauma or grief in my life. And you learned how to overcome the grief. And now I am no longer identified by the abuse or the abandonment or the addiction or whatever the thing I had to beat was. And you're like, yes, I am now the warrior. And you're like, all right, now that you've overcome grief, time to go on to your purpose. And you're like, my purpose? What? Didn't I just win? You're like, now it's time to climb the mountain. No, you got out of the pit. Now it's time to go up the mountain. But I thought I already climbed the mountain. I'm like, no. You were in the pit. Now you're on level ground. Time to go up. And you're like, fuck. I didn't even know, and so this is where like there's a whole new climb. And guys, climbing the mountain has very different weather conditions than the pit. And so you're like, I know how to climb. I climbed out of the pit. And you're like, yeah, but now we got ice and we've got wind and we've got storms and you got way different stuff up here than it was down in the pit. Down in the pit was there's fire and there's brimstone and there's bullshit and there's demons to pull you down. But now it's not the demons. Now it's the snow and there's there's cold and there's bears and shit up here. You're like, this is totally different. I thought it was just climbing, right? It's totally different, and then things go wrong and yeah, you lost your shoes or something will go catastrophically wrong. You guys, the journey is always a thing. And even more funny is once you get to the top of the damn mountain, guess what you can see? How many other mountains there are. And you're like, son of a bitch. I thought it was just one mountain. There's like thousands of mountains. There's a whole, but now you can see the whole mountain range. You're like, oh man, okay. And so the mountains don't necessarily get easier, but you get way better at climbing mountains. And some of you guys, like once you do like a handful of mountains, you're like, I'm getting pretty good at this. And that's the proficiency of being able to find this balance between when to climb, when to love, when to fight something, and when to be in like your spirit side or whatever it would be, to go my purpose, my connections. It's being able to find balance within yourself. And that's really the end game of this, is where whatever things come up, you're still able to be stoic, solid, strong, capable, on your grind, on your purpose, but also be able to appreciate the present moments and being able to love your people and find the most value in your life is around you at all times. And
Yeah,
so it's
man.
this balance. It's this crazy game where we think we need to work on extremes, but any of my guys who have found extremes are struggling. Why are the guys who are like in the best shape struggling in relationships? That doesn't even make sense. Shouldn't you get the most girls? Like, well, the relationship is missing a massive piece. Like, oh, okay, I didn't know there's a balance to that. Oh, some guys who have a lot of wealth and they're very successful. Well, why is the other half of their life just in turmoil? Why is their self-esteem not very solid? Or why are they not self-aware? It's because you put everything into finances and not understanding thyself. And so now you're Captain Money guy, but you don't know how to have a conversation that makes any fucking sense without like, is it gain? Is it gain? What's the ROI? It's not ROI. It's can you fucking be? We get so one-sided thinking we're the smartest thing in the world until life hits you and goes, you think you don't, you think you know, you think you're the smartest guy, or you're the toughest guy, or you're the most wealthy guy, or you're the most empathetic guy. And then life is going to go, yeah, you're not capable of this yet, but you could be if you balance it out a little bit. It's that wheel. And some of you guys have like giant chunks of your wheel you never even filled up, and you got cement on one side because I'm just the fitness guy or I'm just the money guy. And it's like cluck clunk, and that's your wheel. I'm like, it's all a balance here. So it's kind of cool, Chris, when you're like, I think I got it. You're like, you got that side, but you got to now you got to climb this next mountain. It's a very different mountain.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what I've found along the way as well is this idea of purpose is not static.
No, it changes until you. I'll help you with one thing on this, guys, and this is very important. Some of you are plugged into enough information that you'll see like a Simon Sinek video of know your why. I'm sure some of you guys have seen the TED Talk for it. Know your why. Know your why. Why are you doing this? Why are you on the journey? Why are you fighting for this relationship? Why are you starting your business? Know your why, and it all falls into place. I'm going to give you guys a little bit of reassurance from people who I know who have found their true purpose in life. You find it on the journey. You don't start with it. You start with a why. That's good enough. Just a why that's worth it. That's all you need. You don't need the why. You need a why that's worth it. Like, I'd fight for that. I'd go for that. I'm just going to let you guys know that as soon as you start achieving certain levels of achievement, as soon as you get to certain milestones, you'll see more and your why will evolve. Okay? Your why will evolve. The further you get, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more you'll adapt. And so you're like, I think I just want to get this. I think I want to get this. And then once you get to that level, you're like, oh, I see how this works and how this works. And then you get high enough that you go, I understand who I am. I understand me. And I found my why is in the spirit element. It's in the purpose and connection side. I'm mind and body. That was my go-to. Psychology, philosophy, fitness, strength, action. That was me all day long. I'm going to think my way through all of this. It was a totally missing element. There was no purpose. There was no connection. I had no greater being or any higher element of myself that was aiming up. I didn't have that. And it wasn't until I cracked spirit side open that I go, there's my purpose. I'm going to let you guys know that when you find your purpose, when you're on this, when you find your purpose, just like any story in the hero's journey, when you find it, it is something very hard to do. Something most people will never want to do. And if you tell people your purpose and your purpose is something fun, like my purpose is to have people have a good time, I'm like, that's not your fucking purpose, dude. Whenever I've met anyone in their life who can, from the bottom of their soul, say, I have found my purpose, it's something difficult to do. It's something that, like, that's a very hard, that's a very challenging purpose. But the reason why God does it this way is because, have you guys noticed that when you work on something really hard, when you are dedicated on something very difficult to do, whether it's build something, fix something, help someone, climb something, pick up something, it doesn't matter what it is, something you've worked really hard to do because it was very difficult and you did it. Have you ever been more proud of yourself than when you did something that was really hard to do? Like, I fucking did it. Like, I worked for 2 years to do that and I did it. And have you ever been more proud? Like when somebody just goes like, oh yeah, hey, you can have one and you just got it for free. Were you more proud just getting one for free or something you really worked on? I got my degree. How long it took me 9 years. I got my degree. I'm like, dude, are you fucking proud of that? Like, I am proud of that. It took me 9 fucking years to do that. I'm proud of myself. You know, hey, I started this business. It took me 4 years to get it off the ground. I'm like, it's off the ground. You're doing well. You proud of yourself? Like, dude, it was so hard to do and I did it. proud of myself. Whatever it is. My relationship was struggling. I had to figure that shit out. We were fighting for 6 years and then we figured it out. And after that 6 years, now we get it. And man, I'm so proud of us. We figured that shit out. It took us a lot of fights though. And now we don't fight anymore. Yes, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of her, proud of me. Have you ever been more proud of yourself than when you do something difficult? This is why I think that when you find your purpose in life, it's on the journey. When you figure out pieces of you, and you figure you out, you're going to find something on this journey that's like, that's the problem in this world that was built for you. There's a problem on this planet that was built for you. And the way you can tell what it is there's something that draws your attention. There is something that is going to be like, that's annoying the fuck out of me. That annoys me. And you're going to share it with people and they're going to go like, it's really not that big a deal, man. You're like, no, it's fucking annoying, man. That's bothering me. Why does something get your attention? Why do you like or don't like certain things that other people don't see it like you see it? Why? Because inside of us, and this is where a fun thing where psychology and spirit touches. There's a lot of these I'm going to point out to you guys on these trainings, where in psychology, there's a thing where they're like, I can see that people are attracted to or interested or bothered by things. But then they get to the point where like, how come it's not a conscious thing to go like, hey, why am I interested in, I don't know, video games and not purses? Why are you interested in maybe this type of music and not that type of music? Why are you interested in this type of show and not this type of show? Why does this kind of thing bother you, but it doesn't bother the other people around you? And there's a point where it's not a conscious thing. Otherwise, if I was like, hey guys, today's training is on makeup and fashion, and you guys would be like, I don't know if that's my thing. I'm like, no, consciously just make it your thing, guys. Now you love makeup and fashion. Just make it your thing now. Love it now. And you can't just go like, okay, now it's switched on to love it. And now I got a whole bunch of guys just throwing lipstick all over their face and shit. Like you can't just switch it on. It's just not your thing. Right. And so if that's the case, you can't just turn it on or turn it off on every single thing. There's a thing that we're drawn to. I do believe that every single one of us has a problem that bothers us that we are specifically built to fix. I don't give a shit if it's the toothpaste cap not falling off. There's a thing that bothers you that doesn't bother someone else, and that's your thing. And inside the answers for why does this bother you and not bother me in the psych world, the furthest they go in, it seems something spiritually elemented. There's some soul part that's gravitated towards certain things. It's important for you guys to know this, because if you have a gravity inside of your being that's drawn to certain things, it does not require other people to understand or believe in it for it to be your thing. It's very important that I say it slowly and sternly, because some of you will abandon your purpose because someone else doesn't understand it. And some of you have. Where you go, this is a thing that's really important to me. And someone went, that's stupid. And you're like, yeah, okay, maybe it's stupid. If you think it's stupid, maybe it is stupid. And then you have a thing inside of you that you could really make an impact on that you abandon because somebody's judgmental, or their thing that they're drawn to, or their thing that bothers them isn't the same as yours. And so you'll abandon your quest. You'll abandon your journey because someone's like, I don't get it. Heroes, pick up your burden, pick up your call. Pick up that thing inside of you. Like, why am I drawn to this? Why am I interested in this? Why do I need to investigate this when nobody else understands it? Why do I have a draw to this thing? Well, check it out, because there may be something in there that you're supposed to do. And if it feels fulfilling, it's probably because it's hard as fuck. I got to invent a new thing. I got to go through the patent process. I have to go through manufacturing and creation. That's a lot of work. Well, build it, do it, create it, make the world better. Maybe it's a program you do, or maybe I have to help people out, or maybe there's a calling I have to do that's very difficult. Do it. It does not require anyone else's approval for you to have your call to adventure. Some of you guys are waiting for somebody to tell you that it's okay to be you. The reason this is important is because in the hero's journey, oftentimes the treasure you're seeking in life is guarded by a big red dragon. And usually the bigger the dragon, the better the gold. There's more treasure. And if you look at the stories, the bigger the battle, it's usually the more treasure there is. And a lot of you guys are afraid to get out there and warrior up. You're afraid to go and do something that's scary. I don't know how it's going to go. It's uncertain. What if this? What if that? What if this? We'll get into fear conversations. I'll show you how to fight it. The bigger the dragon, the bigger the treasure. So some of you are going to be like, this makes a lot of sense to me. And some of you go, this is stupid. Some of you are meant to stay home. Some of you are meant to stay home. But for those warriors, those who are going to heed the call, get a why that's worth it. You'll find your purpose on the journey. Cool. Will, you wanna close me out here? You got something to share?
I'll close you if we need to. And I will practice keeping it brief. One, a lot of what you're talking about is what I'm experiencing right now because as you remember back in February and March, I didn't know what I was going to do with my career. I was floundering. But a lot of what you talked about today is like you have to be moving before you find the why. And ironically enough, D-Day and I were talking about this. And just disclaimer, I do not expect people to follow Christianity or whatever. This is just what I believe. But in the scripture, it says before God acts you, he requires you to move first. And so I was I was depressed at my job. I didn't know what I was doing. And now that I'm in a place where I can invest and I can do things, like I'm learning the direction of where that why might be. And it's incredible. And I'm not even at the why yet, but just moving, it helps that purpose out. It's really cool. One of the things that you said earlier that I want to expand on a little bit is the idea of like looking at other people and their journeys. It's really easy for us to get lost in comparison. Well, he's doing so he's working out all the time. Yeah, but see, body side may not be their battle, but maybe it's your battle. Or maybe like they got their finances right, but their health is shit. Right? Comparison, like we say, comparison is a thief of joy. But on the flip side of that, like this is why we lock shields, because like you know what, maybe their body side is good and yours is trash. Well, now you have someone to talk to who can guide you, right? This is why we lock shields and we build, we don't compare. And I think it's awesome that we have that community because like you bring it up, like don't compare yourselves to Perry because Perry's world-class weightlifter, right? But if you want help, there's someone who can walk with you, right? And that's something I had to go through. Like, man, these guys are all going through and they're doing so good, but like they're battling just like we're battling, and we all have to battle together. And especially on this journey, like I said, Frodo had the nine, right? Harry Potter had his best friends. Luke had Obi-Wan and had Han, right? So like all of these, you're not supposed to do it by yourself. There might be battles that are yours. It doesn't mean you don't have support. So like, don't compare because you'll find yourself floundering. But ask, hey, I see you're really good at this. Can I get some pointers? Right?
That's good. Yeah, don't do the comparisons, guys. All right, warriors and kings. It's time for you to make that choice now. The first step is to take one. Find a why that's good enough. And let's start going. Get a why that's good enough. It doesn't have to be the purpose. It has to just be good enough. Let's go. And start practicing and training. And let's go to the next chapter. All right, warriors. Let's close it out. Ty, give it to me.
I gotcha. Why not like and subscribe?
Later, everybody. We'll see you guys.